Hey guys, Shay Baker here. Episode 3 of Predicting Patterns. We're going to be talking about the Bassmaster Elite Series tournament coming up on the St. Johns River. My guest today, I've known this guy for, 10 or 11 years now, surprisingly. We're getting old, but Justin Lucas, a buddy of mine that I met a long time ago when I was fishing in college. And actually, I got a little picture here, a little throwback for you. Check that out. He really liked the War Eagle deal. He was really into that, and that was me and one of my college partners, Dennis Parker, doing War Eagle on the stage. Justin actually used to MC the college tournaments for FLW. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Justin in, and let's go to Justin Lucas. How are you, bud?
What's up, Shay?
What's going on?
I can't see that picture you posted, but I'm sure it was a good one.
Yeah, we got Justin on the phone here, and Justin, just a little rundown. You got a 2018 Bassmaster Angler of the Year title, 2016 Elite Series champion, 2015 Elite Series champion, 21 top 10s with bass, 5 wins with FLW, and 19 top 10s with FLW, not the least of which your most recent accomplishment is your 2019 MLF Bass Pro Tour Angler. Pretty good for, what are you, 32?
Yeah, 32 now, dude.
You got it going on, man.
It's creeping up there. Yeah, it's been fun, man. I had a bad year in 2017, so to bounce back this last year and win that Angler of the Year title, that was a really big deal. And just got finished with the first Bass Pro Tour event, and that thing's really going to take off. It was an incredible time. The event was ran I was beyond impressed with how well it was ran. And they're only going to continue to get better with it. So we got a lot of good things coming ahead.
I got to admit, man, I was really skeptical from working tournaments. I was really skeptical they were going to be able to pull off anything to amount to anything that quickly. And I knew they would get it 4 or 5 tournaments in, however long it took. But, dude, I watched that thing. I mean, I watched it in I was driving tractors watching it during the week. I was doing it in some situations where I shouldn't have been watching video. But I was hooked, dude. I mean, it was phenomenal. It's not the future, it's the present and the future. I mean, it's legit, dude.
Unfortunately, I sucked in the event, but I'm right with you, dude. Like,
well, you got to enjoy some coverage, right?
Home from Florida, and I just couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah.
Man. It was, and all day today too. We had family stuff today, and I couldn't put it down. So they're doing a really good job with the production and keeping the intensity up, which, is what's going to keep everyone tuned in. So it's awesome, dude. Really looking forward to the next one and the rest of the year as well.
What about our boy Jordan Lee? I mean, that kid.
Hashtag not surprised.
Yeah, I know. It's like surprise, not surprise, sorry, not sorry kind of deal.
Yeah, he's, we all know how good he is, and that won't be his last one. That's for sure. He might get another one this year. You just never know with him.
The thing about the Bass Pro Tour that sets up so well for them, I assume they're going to go to different fishery on the final day every time. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know if they will or not. I think that, like on Conroe, we're going to have the whole lake on the final day, so it'll switch up. Every tournament will be a little bit different, but a lot of that will play into his favor for sure. He can break a lake down really quickly.
That's what I was going to say. Like,
for how young he is.
You fish with him, and I fished with him in college at Auburn, and there's really, and he's just gotten a ton better since then, but there's really very few people that can break down a fishery as fast as he can, sight unseen,
Yeah, I agree with that.
And just fish the moment, But to move on into the predicting patterns deal we're going to do here, so we're talking about the St. Johns, and you've got some history now. I think the last 2 times the Elites went there, you finished top 10, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I actually had a couple really good tournaments down there. I've caught some really big fish down there and lost some really big fish.
Oh, yeah.
I know that you've got video of, but it's a really good place. I've heard it's changed a lot with the hurricane that they had over there maybe 2 years ago now, or a year ago. But the lake the river and Lake George, those big fish are still around. And with the weather setting up this week and a new moon coming, pretty much right on the new moon, I think it's going to be a really good week down there for those guys. It might be tough right now, but as that water warms up, it's going to get real good by Thursday.
Yeah, while you were talking, I pulled up a little video that you mentioned of, I don't know, like about a 3-pounder coming off maybe 3 plus 8, something like that.
I caught an 11.5 at Toho this last week, and that one I lost in that video. That was my third biggest fish I've ever caught this week, but that one I lost in that video. It was on the last cast of the final day, and still to this day, I believe it was an 11 to 13 pounder. It was an absolute monster.
Yeah, about half the fish gets out of the water in the video, and I'd say that half's around 5 or 6 pounds. So yeah, that's probably a fair estimate. It's that's a hoss. I forgot that it was the final. I actually put this GoPro on your boat. I forgot about that too until I went back and watched this video. But that's when I was working with bass, and we've got a little bit better video here of you also sight fishing, and you were running a hat cam. And talk a little bit about the push pole deal. Like, it seems like obviously stealth is important with sight fishing, but St. John's, it seems like it's even bigger deal down there.
Yeah, so there's nothing to, there's no cover to block you from those fish. It's open water, and the only thing that's going to block you is the eelgrass beds. But you definitely have to be really quiet down there. Those fish are heavily pressured sight fish. It's, you know, when it's good, it's the best sight fishing in the world that I've ever seen. We've hit it that way a couple times for elite events, but you know, the push pull is definitely a must-have down there, and it is most of the time anywhere in Florida or anywhere you're sight fishing for the most part. But it's something I use down there a lot, and you know, the key is just getting in those areas where the fish are spawning. And then you really don't have to even use the trolling motor hardly at all. When you get in the right area down in Florida, they group up, and they're almost like schools that pull up and spawn in the same area. And you just don't need to use your trolling motor much, and you can push around, and you're going to find the right fish, especially when you're not spooking them.
We got this video still playing, and you can tell you got a dark bait on there. And it seems like that's the deal, too. A lot of people have gone to, especially in Florida, where these beds are white. You don't want a white bait like a lot of people associate with sight fishing, where you can see whether or not the fish had it. You just kind of want to be able to see the bait on the bed, and when you can't see the bait anymore, you know he's got it. Is that kind of what's going on?
I mainly do it. I don't care to see my bait on the bed at all. I mainly do it just to show them something a little more natural, and I actually don't want to see the bait on the bed, just because I feel like that's. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time I ever snagged a bedfish on accident. And most of the time when I see it done, it's done with white baits, you know. So they think the fish has it, and it really doesn't, and they set. And I've just always been more of a feel guy. So when I feel them, you know, pick up the bait, and I know that they have it in their mouth, that's when I set the hook, and it just seems to be a lot better ratio for me of getting those ones in the boat and not snagging them. But the other thing is too, is I pretty much just use two baits. I keep it really simple. I use a 6 1/4 inch Berkley bottom hopper. It's in Powerbait now, and down there I just use June bug. So I put it on a 1/4 ounce weight, keep that really simple. And then the other thing that I use is just a green pumpkin Berkley power hog. And I'm, you know, might dip the tails in a little bit of chartreuse if I feel like it, but most of the time I don't. And between those two baits, I put a 3/8 ounce weight on the Berkley Power Hog. I can kind of hop it up off the bottom a little bit better. But if I can't catch a bedfish on one of those two baits, I'm probably moving on to the next one.
It looks like you got braid on here. Is that right?
Yeah, I do braid to fluorocarbon quite a bit, actually. If it's a really big bedfish or a bigger bedfish, I'll do straight braid at first, and then if they're line shy, I'll switch back to you know, braid to fluorocarbon. But I do a lot of 50-pound to 20-pound leader.
Is that just in Florida, or is that everywhere?
That's everywhere. I flip like that a lot too. That's just something that, you know, braid has a lot of advantages that straight fluorocarbon doesn't give you. But of course, the benefit of straight fluorocarbon is that your line and, you know, everything is not as visible to them as braid. So I'm just that confident in tying my knots, you know, that I can do it. I tie a crazy Alberto knot, and I've actually caught 9.5 and a 10-pounder down there at St. John's River. A lot of people have probably seen the video on my Facebook page a couple years ago, but I caught that fish on 50-pound braid to a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, and I just have like a 2-foot leader. I just leave a little bit longer tag ends so the knots, the lines won't slip, and I can set the hook, with the 8-foot extra heavy rod as hard as I want, and I still to this day have never broke that knot.
That's awesome.
Pretty confident in it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about so Lake George? You touched on a little bit. The hurricane came through, and with that deal, I read up a little bit on it. It seemed like it didn't hurt the bass as much as it did maybe some of the salt species because there was so much fresh water that came in. But as far as like Lake George itself, does it just blow out a bunch of that vegetation and just kind of rearrange the whole thing and have a lot of sediment and silt get stirred up, or what happens when a lake like that gets hit?
I'm not sure. The thing that makes Lake George so special is that there's so much good, hard, sandy bottom there mixed in the eelgrass, and it's basically just one big, giant spawning lake. I feel like a lot of those fish move out of the river into there. And then otherwise, they probably just live out in the middle of the lake, and they're really hard to target. But once they move up to spawn there, the eelgrass is amazing for spawning fish. Number one, because it really filters the water and cleans it really well. But it also is easy for the fish to fan out a hole in that grass or in the sand that it's growing in. And they just make perfect beds all over the place. So the key for these guys this week will be, if there is eelgrass left in George, I'm sure there is. So there's got to be some somewhere. We'll be finding the clearer water. And, the other thing too is there is some canals or spring fed type creeks down there, and where the water is really clear, and they will move in there and spawn first. And so those will be somewhat of a player too. But, most of the time it's always one on the lake somewhere. Even Rick Klein, he won in dirtier water, reeling a chatterbait last time. And then, all the other times I've been down there, it's been one, actually in the lake.
So that's the next question, I guess, is reeling versus sight fishing. I mean, I know it's 6 weeks earlier than y'all used to go the last two times anyway. So, but this weather is setting up. I mean, you have to look at this weather and think, man, if this was last week, because F&W is going to the same Kissimmee chain y'all just went to, and St. John's isn't far away, and the weather's basically the same. I mean, I'll pull it up for everybody watching right now, but Palatka, Florida's weather for the week on the 10-day forecast. Oh, yeah. It's
really good.
Like I said, the new moon's tomorrow. It's 71, 77, 80, 81, 81, like 69 on Saturday. It might drop a little bit, but 75 again on Sunday. And the big thing is the nights. I mean, even on that drop on Saturday, the low that night's 50, 55, and it's the same as the whole week where y'all were dealing with 42-degree nights and no sunshine to warm the water. So
that's right.
I mean, this place is about to explode, don't you think?
Yeah, I think the first big wave of fish in Florida are going to come up this week, and that goes for St. John's, and Toho and Kissimmee are going to bust wide open too. And Okeechobee's actually, that lake's a little messed up right now. I saw the weights from the last coaster they just had there.
Yeah.
But right now, anywhere in Florida, man, if you can go fishing this next week, it's going to be really good. And I'm sure all those local Florida boys, they know what's up, and they're going to be getting the boats ready to get out this next week too.
I'm going to Eufaula in Alabama. That's as far as I can go, and I feel like it's still going to be wide open there. It's about to be an awesome week of fishing in the whole Southeast. The last two times, Chris Lane in 2014 had that 37-pound 9-ounce bag, which is unreal. And then, like you said, Rick Klein had 31.7 in his win in 2016. What do you think the chances are we see another one of those 30-plus bags?
I mean, with the way it's setting up, I would say somebody, probably has a really good chance. The only thing that takes away a chance now is just that there's 75 guys in the elite, so they're missing, an extra 30 guys that would help them, maybe reach that 30-pound mark. But I could totally see somebody doing it, man. It's just a big fishery, so there's going to be a lot of stuff with only 75 guys that aren't touched, by guys throughout the week, just because 75 isn't enough guys to really, give the fishery a good look from one end to the other. There's going to be a lot of untouched stuff, but if a guy can come across that and be the only guy on it, I caught 26 pounds there the first time I was there. Actually, 26.15. I caught all that weight in about 30 minutes. It does not take long.
What the playing field, I think I got it lined out pretty good. I think they're actually going to be able to go to Rodman this time, from what I understand. But
oh wow!
Basically, the south end of George, all the way up to the ocean, is allowed to fish. Right, all the way to the mouth. Yeah.
So even south of George, those other lakes down there, Woodward. I think it's Woodward. And I don't remember the name of the other lakes, but those ones south of George, they put out a lot of big ones too.
So how far? There was so much emphasis on George, and like I said, I can't even remember. I don't think I ever even went out down there whenever I covered it. But how many lakes are there south of George that they're allowed to fish, or that y'all were?
I want to say 2 or 3. I can't really remember, to be honest.
Is it just such a haul, and George is usually so good you don't go through it?
Yeah, I mean, George has just got the numbers. When you start looking down there, you're getting further and further away from takeoff. The river, you got to run pretty slow through that river. 25 miles an hour, I think, or 30 miles an hour. So there's a lot of factors that keep most of the guys in George.
I forgot about that. About the is that manatee zones or whatever?
Manatee zones, yeah.
Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, the sea cows don't want to run over them. Which, I mean, it actually would cause a heck of a wreck, I would imagine, if you hit one good enough. But
yeah.
So Lake George, you feel pretty confident with the way the weather's playing. The shell bars, maybe in the river, won't stand as big of a chance at winning this thing as some
I mean, if Terry Scroggins was in the event, I could say, I would think that might be a factor. But most of the time, it's going to be George, or if Rodman's a player now, I don't know anything about that place, but I've always heard it's really good. So maybe that'll be a player too. I don't know. Just with my experience, I'd be spending my time on George. But hey, that's me. That's not to say that somebody might win it right there by takeoff. I know there's been some big fish caught up there, more where the tidal water is influenced and all of that. But I would have to think that George, George, just being the shallow, grassy lake that it is, it's going to warm up the fastest, and the first fish are probably going to start spawning in there.
Well, looking at George, I actually got to pull it up on this app called the Angler app, and you can do a wind overlay. And right now it looks like there's 5 to 10 mile an hour winds out of the north. How does wind play into it there? I mean, do the winds typically blow out of the same direction when you're there this time of year? Do you have to find fish on one side of the lake and the other side, or just try to have a backup plan?
Pay attention to whatever. If you think there's, and even if you don't think there's going to be spawning fish, it's just you really got to watch the wind on George, because it's a big open lake, and if it blows from one side, the side it's blowing into is normally not good for a day or two, just because the water dirties up so much. So you definitely need to pay attention to the wind. Starting a couple days before practice, and then throughout the week too, and you might have to adjust, and the wind might start blowing on a bank where you've been catching them, and you might need to go find something else. So I've seen that happen where it actually happened to me in a tournament. I was catching them on the west side. We had an east wind. It blew it out. I went over to the east side and got on the right stretch, and that's where I caught that 26.15. So you definitely need to pay attention to it, like always.
The lake, is it basically, well, again, the hurricane came through, so there's really no telling, but like when you were there, is it pretty much the whole circumference has eelgrass around it, and they're liable to be anywhere, and you have to use those kind of deals with the wind to kind of decide where you go, and the clear water, basically just find that concentration of vegetation wherever it is this year and find that clear water?
There's a lot of that lake that used to have eelgrass. I'm not sure anymore, but it's more about just getting in the right bottom, the right bottom areas where the sand is good, nice hard bottom, where the fish are comfortable spawning, and those are the key areas.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. What I want to do before you go, I want you to give me a prediction, and I'll actually pull up the fantasy fishing. Let's see if I can pull up fantasy fishing here. I built a team today.
Okay.
To see what you think about this. So my A bucket, I've got Drew Benton. That's pretty easy, I would imagine.
That's a real good one.
All right, on the B, I went with Clint Davis, and here's the options. And see what you think about Rob Dye, Greg DePalma, a lot of new names, obviously, this year with what all's going on. But Seth Fider, Michael Frazier might be one. David Fritz, Chris Groh, Jeff Gustafson, which he does really good. He's done good traditionally in the FLW tournaments on Okeechobee. So he might be a good one down there. For some reason, I think he's a Canadian boy, but he does good in Florida tournaments. But Skylar Hamilton, Ray Hanselman, Jamie Hartman, Matt Herron, Dale Hightower, and Harvey Horn, and Derek Hudnall. So of those, who do you like?
And you've got Clint Davis right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, Clint's, I would say, is a good pick. But Micah Frazier would be not a bad one either.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at. So in the C bucket, I went with, this was also a pretty easy one, Kobe Krieger.
Yep.
I feel like, and
I don't even think we need to talk about anybody else there. That's a good pick.
Van Dam could be in that bucket, and you'd probably still go Kobe Krieger just because of sight fishing in Florida. So then you got the C bucket. I went with Bernie Schultz, or in the D bucket, I went with Bernie Schultz, and there was one in here that Cliff Prince is in here. I went with Bernie because I think it's going to be sight fishing and not shell. But not that Cliff can't do that. But I feel like like Scroggins, if it was shells, I think Cliff would be a bigger player.
Yeah, they room together. I would probably go with Cliff, though, even still. He's just he lives right there. He understands the place. A lot of people are going to pick him, but I just don't see how you can not pick him there.
Well, I guess that means I'm changing my pick. So if Bernie wins this thing, though, I'm going to come up there to Gunnersville. And
that's fine.
I have to have a word.
I'll hold steady on Cliff over Bernie.
All right. So moving on to the E bucket, I went with Chris Zaldane, and I've watched him sight fish on the Delta, and he's done a lot of it, especially a lot of sight fishing around vegetation and all. So I felt pretty good about that one.
Yeah, definitely a good pick too.
All right. Well, so that's the pick. So who's your pick then to win? And give me a weight.
I'm going to say Drew Benton with 80 pounds.
80 pounds?
Yeah.
You
20 pounds a day.
You don't feel like the century mark's possible with all this going on? You think the lake's been rocked enough from the hurricane? Or
I mean, maybe it will be, but I just think, I could see him, getting 25, 25 or 25, 22 and 18 and 20, something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 80 pounds. I mean, I might bump that up to 82 or 83, but.
Not that that's weak by any means. I'm not trying to downplay.
Actually,
I just want to see
84. Let's say 21 pounds a day.
I want to see 100 pounds bad. I mean, I know we all do, but I'd like to see.
It's so hard to do that in a sight fishing tournament unless it's a perfect storm.
Yeah, you have a 35-pound day. I just don't know
if it's that perfect of a storm setting up.
What would make this a little better? Maybe a week or two further down the road, have the same weather.
I think if if we had a little bit warmer weather right now, leading up to this thing and getting those fish moving up now, getting ready for this week, I think that it's all going to start to happen during the tournament, though, like Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And then I saw one of the, a couple of those days, Thursday and Friday, like, all right, but Saturday says cloudy all day. So that makes that sight fishing really tough, too, even down in Florida. You got to have the sun.
Yeah. Well, Justin, I sure appreciate it, bud. And good luck out there on the road this year. Hope you wear them out. You got Conroe next week, right?
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
When do y'all practice 2 days for those?
2 days, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, good luck. We'll be watching. I'll be driving the tractor or doing something with my phone in my hand. So wish me luck on my end, and good luck on yours.
All right, Shay. Thank you, dude.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. Well, there you go. Justin Lucas weighs in on the Elite Series on the St. Johns River. I fully believe he's right. George will still be where the winning bag comes from, and hopefully we'll see more. But 82 to 84 is kind of where he's at with a Drew Benton win. So good show. Enjoyed it. Hope you guys did too. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you think in the comments below, what you think it's going to take, and what you'd like to see done differently on the show. So thanks for watching. Shay Baker. See you guys later.